Welcome to AlphaCars and Motorcycles. Today I'm reporting from our Boxborough showroom, and as I walk by these very exciting hand-picked vehicles, we're going to focus on a very special Mercedes-Benz hiding just behind this 2007 Mercedes-Benz CLS63 AMG. And we're going to do a little project on this Mercedes today and really bring it up to today's standards as far as the infotainment system. So I know you might have been wondering, well, how can we make a CLS63 AMG more exciting? Well, adding a modern radio in it, modern head unit that's designed to work with the Mercedes system and really integrate things like Android Auto and Apple CarPlay in a factory way, well, that is very exciting, and it's going to make it much more pleasurable to drive every day as well, because we might like this generation of the CLS, we might prefer this maybe over a newer one, but we want to bring it up to today's standards with the functionalities and systems that just didn't exist when this vehicle was originally designed and built. So per the customer request, they wanted us to add, like I said, a really factory look head unit that will add the modern functions. They want us to add a USB plug and charger in the center console there, and they wanted a front and rear camera. And now you might be asking, well, does such a thing exist? How is this possible that we can add, like I said, these very modern functionalities to this 2007 CLS? Well, if we take a look here, I've got some very neat parts laid out very carefully in their original packaging on our clean showroom floor. And what this is a modern infotainment upgrade via Dynavin. It's a company, I believe they sell out of California, and they offer plug-and-play factory solutions to upgrade your infotainment in the Mercedes vehicles. And we can see the bezel here, specifically designed for the CLS. It looks like the factory bezel, just with the exact shape and size it needs to be for their screen to fit in there. So just going over kind of the parts super quick. This is kind of the brain of the unit. We have all sorts of preamps and outputs and communication ports there. We have all sorts of nice harnesses, very high quality stuff here, little communication boxes so it'll talk to the vehicle properly. And like I said, this works with the Mercedes CAN bus system. It really flawlessly integrates, so you're not going to have any error lights, you're not going to lose any functionality or have any weird things happen with the vehicle, because on these vehicles, once you remove the factory head unit, that head unit is also responsible for some of the vital vehicle functions via the CAN bus system. So like I said, you don't have to worry about any of that. This is designed in a way as if Mercedes kind of did it themselves. And now on to the cameras. So what we have here is a very nice license plate frame, and it has a slim camera in it. So it really doesn't add any more thickness to the plate, but it has this adjustable camera in it and then some very nice connections here to be able to integrate with the head unit. We have this very high quality and very trick, so to speak, camera. So this is the actual camera, and it has a sort of ball design with some flat edges, and then there's all these universal mounts for it that it will clamp into, and then the possibilities are endless of where you can mount this and how you can aim it. And lastly, for our USB solution, we have a 6-foot cable with a flush mount USB plug on it. And also, depending on your application, it also comes with like a universal mount it'll slip into, has some double-sided tape, and then self-tapping screws. So where this is gonna go is in the center console of this CLS. So then, as the customer requests, they can plug in their phone, have it charging in here, have the phone communicating with the new infotainment system, and then the phone will just stay tucked out of harm's way in that center console and not be a distraction on the road as well, because with this new infotainment system, as I said, it flawlessly talks to and integrates with the Mercedes CAN bus system. So all of these steering wheel controls will work as designed, and it'll really all work like it was put there in the first place. So in this video, I am gonna follow some of the technician's progress, as we are gonna really have to do a lot of disassembly on the CLS, because we do have to run wires for those cameras really from the front bumper to the rear bumper. So we are gonna run those in a factory manner along factory harnesses and of course, just pay special attention and offer special care to all of the plastic trims and everything in the vehicle that we need to remove. And then we use specialty tools like these plastic pry tools. So these are made for vehicle interiors. These are soft touch. With your fingers, you can actually kind of press on the plastic. It's very soft. And this is meant to kind of scratch or bend instead of the plastics in your vehicle. So like I said, follow along in this video if you're interested to see some of the installation and of course, the final outcome of this work performed. Let's take a look in the trunk first. We have a side panel removed so we can have access to all the factory wiring, and of course, so we can have access to the wiring on this trunk hinge. And we've already run some wiring up into the trunk. You can see, of course, everything is exposed so we can get to it. And if I pull down the trunk a little bit here, we're actually gonna use the plate frame on the back. We've done some thinking, talked to the customer, and we all like the plate frame being on the back of the vehicle. So the front of the vehicle will use that kind of universal camera mounting system, and then by doing that, we'll be able to kind of hide that in the front grille and have a very clean appearance. And the front of this vehicle actually doesn't have a factory kind of plate location to put that frame, so that's also a factor as well. Now, as you take a look at the interior, of course, it's missing some vital things. The driver's seat's out, the rear seat's out, the center console in the back has been shifted aside, and some of the aftermarket harnesses are starting to get run, starting to get put into place where they're going to be best put. And then we have the driver's seat removed because there's actually a factory harness that runs under the carpet there to the rear of the vehicle, and we want to run everything in a factory manner, so we wanted full access there. So it does look like a bit of a mess, you could say, but it's actually everything. The technician knows where everything is, where he's put everything, because really you do have to take lots of things apart in the interior of the vehicle. And now you may have seen in the trunk that the windshield wipers and the arms were back there. That's because this fuse box and the grommet and the firewall is under this cowling, which we had to partially lift up. So for the front camera, this is the line for it, which we can see we have plenty of slack because we were just making sure to run that in the best way to the front of the vehicle. And we've actually run this with the factory harness into the factory fuse box, and then it runs along the factory fuse box in this housing. And then there's a grommet back there, which you can't really see on camera. You can see it partially, that sort of black piece. So little rubber grommet where the factory harness from this fuse box enters the cabin of the vehicle, and that's where this line is run. And then once we're happy with everything, this will actually get wrapped with the kind of factory fabric wiring tape, and then you won't even know there's some aftermarket wiring run with this. So I just wanted to show this, how we're not just laying a wire across the engine bay and zip tying it to things. That's really the lengths we go here, and why we're disassembling things so much. So we can get to these areas where Mercedes has already run things. And then the center console has just been, slightly put aside there very carefully. And now we can get a better look from this angle. So really quite a lot of disassembly that goes on to really have a clean installation and avoid headaches down the line. And as a bonus, you'll have maybe other people look at the car and they won't even know that this aftermarket work has been done. So that's when that happens, when you can't really tell that it didn't come that way from the factory, well, that's how you know that there was really a job well done. Fast forward another day, and some awesome progress has been made on the CLS. Check out this license plate frame with that very sleek camera in it that I had spoke about. Awesome construction. This one is the black version, so it looks very sleek. And like I said, this is all kind of one piece of metal, and then with this kind of insert with the camera here. And even this whole housing is all metal, and it has these little Allen set screws where you can adjust the angle. So especially you walk back, a couple feet, it just looks like a very nice license plate frame. You would never know there's a little camera there. As I said before, commonly you'll see some of these frames, they have like big cameras kind of hanging off of them, and it's very noticeable. And of course, the picture quality on those, most of those aren't too good as well. So of course, just wanting to use, kind of one of the best options we can get our hands on a vehicle like this. And we can see the little cord for it is just run just up to the little trim piece into the where the factory wiring is. And there is like kind of like a little factory gap there. So that isn't pinched or anything. It's just run up behind there. And I have the trunk partially open, but when this is closed, kind of more like there, and you're walking around the vehicle, you're really not even gonna notice. It's really an awesome install there. And now as we open the trunk, it looks like a trunk again. No, no wiper blades in here, no exposed modules. We just have the old radio there, and then there is still some trim from the interior because we're still working in there. But as we can see, everything looks factory and fresh, no loose wires anywhere. Everything is run with that factory harness, as I've said. Now looking in the vehicle, it is a lot more together than we saw at last. The rear seats are together, center console's in, and the front is getting there. Still some kind of final wiring to do, but just check out this updated head unit now, and that bezel fits those climate control and heated seat controls awesome. So really just taking a peek in this now, it already looks, you know, I would say even it would make it feel and look newer than it actually is, having this nice big sleek head unit with the modern functionalities in it.
So welcome back to our CLS63 AMG project. As Ian showed you before, we are updating this vehicle with the latest in the infotainment systems. So we're going to show you some of the final things we're doing. And we just had a very important meeting with the vehicle owner. We showed them certain options they have, how we can place. One of the things we're doing on this car, we are having a magnetic wireless charging mount for their iPhone. And we had some options there. We had options of where to place the USB. We thought they'd go in the center console, but we actually found a better spot for it. And as everything, there are a lot of options. There are different costs for different options. So we just had this important meeting and we settled on some very, very good options. We're going to start from the front. License plate. No one likes them, but we all need them. When I say we all, we that are in the states that the plates are required. So again, there are different options. We can mount the plate, mount this here to keep this open. And we came to a realization that this is still the best spot. That's where Mercedes designed it. And then for the camera placement, we looked at different options, possibly putting it here, putting it there. And none of that is as good as the option we came up with. So check that out. We're going to put the camera inside the Mercedes Star. So this one does not have the active cruise control, because the ones that do, they have this filled, so we wouldn't be able to have that option.
There's no radar in this one, right?
That's right, yeah. Yes. The radar sensor is used by active cruise control. And so we have these pockets here. And what we're going to do is we have various mounts for the cameras. So we have this metal bracket, which we're going to optimize so that it goes inside. We already have the actual camera here, so we determine how far recessed can we go before the camera starts seeing the edges of the inner perimeter of the Mercedes logo. We don't want that, so we figured where do we need to be. We could be recessed no more than 3/4 of an inch, something like that, so we're gonna do that. And that's basically where our camera is gonna be. So let's take a look at some of the options we had for the owner of the vehicle in the cabin. So as far as USB goes, the original request by the customer was to have the USB mounted in the center console. And there's really not a good spot there, and it's not something that they would have to use very often. So we made a recommendation, and we will place the USB ports in the glove box. Again, since they're not going to be using it all that often, we're just going to bring them in, and they're going to rest there. We do have an option, though. We're not going to do it on this car, but we do have the option where we'd remove the auxiliary plug, the 3.5 auxiliary plug, and instead we could have this USB here, nice and clean, and then it would be tied into the USB port from the unit. But again, they're not going to be using these USB ports, so we're not going to have to do this extra work, which is an extra expense, which is going to have the USB ports in the glove box. That's a very nice option, simple option. If they were using USBs more frequently, we would find a different spot. When you get in the car, you obviously just want to get in and go, but you still need to place your phone somewhere. Not to mention, ideally, you want to have your phone charged while you're driving. And these mounts, they're phenomenal. So we're going to have this one here, and then when they get in, boom, that's all they need to do. Yes, the steering wheel obviously overlaps the screen, but they're not going to have to watch that or look at that screen all that often. So since there are any other area where you can have the mount, you can have this mount, we've settled on this one. They're going to try it. If it doesn't work, we can always remove this because these are non-intrusive installations. This has a 3M adhesive tape, and that's a very strong tape. But if we have to remove it, we're just going to put some heat to it, and we can pull that off. The other thing we do, this has a large surface, and we always trim this to follow the contour so that it kind of blends in. You're obviously still going to see the pad, but we're going to go around this curve and around this curve as needed, and trim some of these corners so it looks a little slicker and follows some of the lines. The other request that this customer had, they wanted to have enough USBs to charge the devices their passengers have. And for that, we've done a lot of research, and we bought a bunch of these different things, and we're very happy with this. We settled with this dual QC Quick Charge 3.0 fast charging adapter between 12 volts and 2 fast charging USBs. When I say fast charging, this thing is amazing, and it's also metal, so the heat dissipates, and we have only the best reviews by our customers. It doesn't blow fuses, charges their phones fast, even when you have 2 phones plugged into this. So this is great, and it only sticks out from your 12-volt socket about an inch. So this one is great. We're going to have 2 of them, one in the front and one in the back for this customer. So let's keep going, and we'll show you where we are in the next few minutes.
And welcome to the final segment. The install is complete, and let's get right into checking it out. First, the camera at the front. We can see there, it's very hard to notice, very discreet, as if Mercedes put it there themselves. And Dimitri in the last segment had explained how we were going to modify the factory bracket, and that's just what we did, and we went a step further and improved upon it. We actually applied a resin that doesn't fully harden, so it adds some structural integrity to the bracket that we used. So it'll have the camera hold up a lot better to movement, wind, road debris, and the like. And then that resin as well, because it's not like a hardening epoxy, you can also just remove it from that plastic grill with no damage done. So we just wanted to add that. We didn't just want to rely on that little bracket with a little double-sided tape. We wanted to make sure it's really going to hold there for a long time. And now at the back, we have already seen the plate bracket, how this was installed, but I wanted to add another note regarding this installation. So we can see the wire just runs up very cleanly behind this factory trim panel. And as I said, it's not pinched or anything. I can actually move it with my finger. It has some play, which is what you want there, so it's not under tension. But what we had to do underneath this panel, what we can't see, is to get that into the trunk, we did have to widen a hole in the sheet metal that was already there for the plate light wiring. So what we did is we widened that just a little bit to fit this wire through, and then we primed, painted it, and put a rubber grommet in there so it was done properly. You're not just gonna pull this panel off, and find like some chopped up metal and the wire getting sliced by it. So I just wanted to add that touch that we do go out of our way to do things properly. And now this customer, whether it's in 6 months or a year, isn't going to be chasing an issue where the wiring was run improperly, and then all of a sudden his rear backup camera doesn't work. So that's really just not gonna happen when you do a proper installation. So now let's open the door and let's check out the actual unit and see how well it integrates with the Mercedes. Looks like it could have been put there right from the factory. All the gaps and edges are seamless. They look awesome. Even this factory control panel in the bezel, everything looks great. And the cubby works as designed. Nothing is in the way of that. Operates very smoothly. We have the phone mount here. That's the wireless charging magnet mount. And the cord is run very cleanly between a factory gap in the panels right here. So just such a clean installation. And then of course, as Dimitri mentioned, we did fit this and trim it in a way where it doesn't block the vent. It just stays on that trim piece. So now let's turn our ignition on. So it's fully on and screen boots right up. The boot up time is awesome on these. Very fluid action with the touch screen, very high definition screen. And it is an Android operating system. So we can even tap here and we have our running apps, which we can clear out if we're done with those. So very cool there. Some very useful settings as well. We've got some settings in regards to wireless Android Auto, our backup camera. We have different settings for that camera and the color. We have a few different color options. So that is super cool there. I'll leave it on red though for now. This kind of Windows looking button will, you can program this to whatever you want it to go to. So that's super cool. So you can see it right here. So you can just set what you want it to take you to, and then you're just one tap away from your preferred setting there. Even brightness settings. So all different sort of fun things there to dial in the unit. Of course, this supports wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. They both work awesome. I've tested both. And now what I have here on my business phone is one of our videos. So we can play that. We can actually navigate to our media section, and it has the name of our video there. And I wanted to play this because we see I can turn up the volume with the factory controls.
My name is Tom, coming to you from our Northampton location. And today I'm excited.
And I can pause it right through the screen. So I wanted to just play that little clip of audio. It sounds awesome, sounds factory. There's no, even while the audio is paused, but the amplifiers are on, there's no humming or static or anything. It's all whisper quiet in here, no abnormal noises, as you would expect with something that integrates so nicely. And as I said, the steering wheel buttons, they all work beautifully as designed. And now to show you CarPlay, I've borrowed a colleague's phone. Of course, I couldn't connect my phone to it because I'm using it to film right now. So borrowed a colleague's phone, and I just wanted to boot it up here and show you just how nice it is. So of course, we kind of all know what Android Auto and CarPlay enable us to do, but just showing how well it integrates. It's really lightning fast, going between things. You may be searching for your destination, things of that nature. And the quality is awesome. And like we had heard earlier, the audio quality is really good as well. And while I have nothing playing right now, but the phone is connected, of course, there's, like I said, there's no, humming or buzzing or anything like that out of any of the speakers. It's really just such a nice factory integration. And then if we want to kind of back out of this, we can hit our home button and we are right back to the screen. If maybe now, we're looking to check out our front camera, we got to park real quick. All right, we're good with that. And then we can go right back to our CarPlay, and that is run off of this Z-Link application. And this also supports screen mirroring as well. So maybe you're parked like we are right now and you want to watch a movie or a TV show, you can actually mirror that from your phone. And it really just all works, lightning fast. And we could even set, like I had mentioned before, the kind of programmable Windows button there. You can set that to really whatever you want. So you can kind of quickly fire between things as well. And then lastly, when I turn this off, if we check out the ignition's off, screen is still on. So if we still have occupants in here, they can still use it, do their thing. But as soon as we open the door, it knows that, so it turns right off, as it kind of would in a factory sort of way. Checking out the glove box real quick, as we showed, there are the couple of USB connections just sitting right there, ready for if they need to be used. And that's really all I have to show you on this installation. I've only barely touched on that head unit. This isn't like a walkthrough of all of that's capabilities, just some highlights quick, showing you really how well it integrates with the factory Mercedes CAN bus system and the factory amplifiers. There's no pops or static or anything like that, as you sometimes find in some aftermarket units. This thing is really made to a factory level, and they did an awesome job with the kit. And of course, our technician did an awesome job with the installation here at AlphaCars. So I want to thank you for watching this video. I hope now you're able to add some modern infotainment in your modern classic vehicle. Like I said, if you're interested in having this done and you're local to us, or if you're not local to us, you could still ship the vehicle to us. We actually handle the logistics there. But send us an email, service@alphacars.com, or give us a call, 978-263-9000, and we can give you a free estimate there and recommend really the best products to use. So this has been Ian reporting from our Boxborough showroom. Please leave a like on this video and subscribe so then you don't miss out on the latest motoring content.